Okay.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, I didn't mean I had already hit go live. Okay. I was muted. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic Podcast. This is going to be an awesome night. I have back-to-back shows tonight, and but my first show is with Yssah Arz Lib. She's a multidimensional, and you guys know Yssah. She's been on my show many times, but if you're just watching her for the first time, she's a multidimensional energy worker, intuitive soul reader, and spiritual teacher who helps others unlock their highest potential. Based in Mexico, she is known for her deep connection to ancient wisdom traditions, particularly the Egyptian pantheon of the Netjeru, which we're going to talk about tonight, divine gods and goddesses whose energies she's going to channel and work with to guide her clients. Yssah offers soul activations, intuitive clearings, and readings that connect clients with their divine blueprint. Through her YouTube platform, she regularly shares insights on multidimensional consciousness, energy shifts, and metaphysical awakening. Her work bridges the ancient and the now, offering messages from the Netjeru to assist with ascension, soul remembrance, and spiritual sovereignty. And that's what we're going to be getting into tonight. And I'd like to give her a big warm welcome back to the show. Yssah, thanks so much for coming back on. How are you?
I'm great, Rob. Very happy to be again in the show. Thank you for having me. Excited on the topic. You know how much I love Egypt, and I have been going really deep into all Egyptian cosmology. Of course, of many ancient civilizations, yet Egypt has been crucial for me for my path of remembrance. So, yeah, very grateful.
Yeah, I agree. It's fascinating. Now, what we're gonna be? Who are the Netjeru? I had never heard of them.
Well, the Netjeru is the Egyptian word actually for what is mainly known as gods and goddesses. The accurate translation of what Neter in singular and Netjeru in plural mean is the divine nature of. So by this, I mean that they wouldn't consider them gods or goddesses. After, yes, after the cult of Ammon, have you heard about Ammon?
Yeah.
Okay, well, for the ones who haven't,
I'm a little bit familiar.
Okay, well, for the ones that are not familiar to that name, Ammon was one of the main gods that actually that inspired a cult of priesthood, a very huge priesthood that was the major stage of religious um, process of Egyptian, let's say, of a dynastic Egyptian perception and connection through spirituality. In other words, Ammon was the main representant of the religious institution of Egypt, of ancient Egypt. And by this, it doesn't forcefully is that he wanted it this way. Perhaps he did, like seeking for power as a galactic being. Nevertheless, the other gods or goddesses, mostly known, they would never want people to address to them in that manner. Actually, they always encouraged humans to look at them as equal. Even there is a phrase in one of the temples that a lot of people say it was Sekhmet. It's in between Sekhmet and Tefnut, lioness beings, that say, well, also Sekhmet used to say this, yes. But also Tefnut. Anyway, it says, if you enter to my temple, be aware that you see yourself as an equal to me. If you don't, go back, and whenever you are in that point, in that moment, come here and you will always be welcomed. Of course, it's not in literally these words, but like it's that main message. And I do believe that, for instance, if we are talking about the cult of Ammon, it would be like equally to the Catholic religion right now. Like an institution was
Yeah.
created, worshiping, paying taxes, and so forth. And then Akhenaten came, a pharaoh, and said, "Hey, this is not the way it is." So then he put back again the conception of the Netjeru as divine natures, not as gods and goddesses. But I do agree that it's a way to relate to them. Just I wanted to clarify to the audience that uh, they never consider themselves as some being more powerful than we are, as beings more powerful than we are. Not at all. They always want to encourage humanity to consider themselves equally as equals. So yeah, this is why I try to bring in the word neter and neteru instead of god and goddesses. I know it's a different word. I know it's a Kemetic word, but I do believe that the frequency makes a difference and moves us out of a box of praying to an external force as someone higher than ourselves.
I agree. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So, yeah, that's so interesting. And I wanted to thank Michelle. Thanks, Michelle, for gifting someone a Rumble subscription. That's amazing. And yeah, guys, if you can, try to follow the stream on Rumble too. Like I'm in the Rumble Creator Program, so I'm really trying to push Rumble. Because we have free speech on there too. I just wanted to throw that in real quick. But like, so what are we going to be getting into tonight? You're going to be doing readings for people, soul readings. And yeah, did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. For instance, here I have some cards, basically on this Neteru. Here, for instance, this one is Huch. So, and it means exploration, as the card says. So I will be pulling out cards for people and then doing a reading based on that to see what message that consciousness, that divine nature has for that person at a soul level. So yeah, it's a very powerful way of connecting with Egyptian codes, ancient Egyptian codes, because as we know, everything is frequency and we are interconnected. So just by pulling a card for them or for you, uh, then the message comes. Because again, as I was saying in the beginning, it's not that they have answers that we don't, is that they remember them, and we are in that path of remembrance. So it's a very useful way to remember. And mostly I see a lot of people now being called, for a while actually, uh, being called by Egypt and all that ancient chronology of such an important stage of evolution in humanity, because everyone talks about Egypt, like now what happened with the pyramids, it was like super viral and everyone talking about it. And when you hear the word pyramid, the first image that I'm quite sure that comes to your mind are the pyramids of Egypt. Even though there are pyramids everywhere, it's most likely that 90% of the collective connects with with the Egyptian ones, because their codes are very deeply encrypted in the human DNA, because that was one of the most decisive parts of the human as how we know today, like the genetics. You see it all over the place, all over the temples. You see all these hieroglyphics about how human was shaped, how human was way smaller than the Neteru, and how they were educated in a way so that they would expand themselves as multidimensional beings. Of course, in that crucial point, then some of the galactic, the beings of the galactic community kept on that path, and others were seeking for power, and then found humans that were also seeking for power, and then tried to suppress all this knowledge. So that's why the mystery schools, mostly known the one of the eye of Horus, the right eye of Horus and the left eye of Horus, meaning the relation to Ra and Horus, which I do remember that it's not only Horus and Ra. That's one form of relating to the mystery school, but also there was a connection to Isis as the feminine aspect of it. So then, they respected through mystery schools, through initiations, through the sisterhoods, a lot of this knowledge for it to be preserved and shared from generation to generation about how to enlighten our body literally, and how to embody the psionics, how to remember who we are.
I love that. That's interesting. What I wanted to ask you about was when you were talking about how the gods wanted to make humans similar to them. That's like how what the Sumerians talk about too, and like the stories of the Anunnaki. So I was like, there's some people who say that Thoth was actually Ningshita in Sumerian, like that was like the same being. Like, so do you see a connection between the Sumerian and the Egyptian? And like, do you think those were the same gods, or do you think like how do you think they relate at all?
I love that question because that's something that is pulsing in the field a lot, like as you said, people saying that they were all the same, just different names, and other people that say that no, each one was different. As far as I'm concerned, and based on my memories and based on the way that I approach to the holographic field, imagine that there is a dimension, let's say the third dimension, where all the information is stored, like archetypes, because they all of them embody archetypes. For instance, the relation of Thoth or Tehuti with Nishida, the relationship of Honsu and Enki. Honsu is another Egyptian Netjeru. The relation of even Enki with Ptah, like all of this information that really can make you make you very confused about that, because it's all let's say an imprint in a mold of archetypes, and all these beings existed from the galactic community, but they were given the very same archetype. However, when it comes to the story to the story of creation, I do remember that Sumerians and Egyptians were very entangled, very, very entangled. By this, I mean, I do believe that both were very immersed in the creation process of humanity, and they were connected to one another. And perhaps, for instance, there are gods like the god of the moon god Sin, that is quite connected to Sumeria. So they were actually the same. And in the case of Tehuti and Nishida, there are shared codes, for sure. There are shared codes. And for instance, but that's part of the trick. There is a veil, how I see it, and I hope I transmit this message as crystal clear as possible, that there is a field. Imagine a veil, like how some of the Hermetic prince knowledge would refer to as the veil of Isis. And I'm not saying it's the same. I'm just saying, imagine just like a veil. And in this veil, you imagine that you are configuring this matrix, like this inorganic or hybrid matrix, because actually it has organic and inorganic parts. That's the tricky part. It's a hybrid. So when someone configured this matrix, they put all the information, really, really intercrossed, so that if we tune into something, a string, imagine you're pulling a string from the space memory network to remember something, then you're pulling also the thread of something else that you were not looking for, and then you say, hey, how does it fit, how does this fit together, what was first, what was after, and then all that part creates a lot of confusion. That was on purpose. So for instance, then if you have let's say the moon god, Yah, which was also another name for the god Sin. What is it related to? Yahweh. And then you say,
Yeah. I was going to say this. Nanar Sin or Nanar Sin is Enlil's son in the Sumerian lore, right?
yes, but then again, for instance, you have Yahweh, which is the name Yahweh, and then you say, okay, but some people say that Ammon was precisely Enlil, or I mean Marduk, So, and then the plot, like it gets more entangled, more intertwined, because you have a combo of gods that you say, okay, but we have one vessel, and we have many consciousnesses that are related to that very same vessel. Even with you, when you're trying to remember, I don't know if you have ever done some Akashic records, and perhaps your
No.
reader, the reader, well, an example, or if you are doing a regression or having a meditation, and then you receive the message, you were Jeshua, and then you say, wait, what? You were Jeshua. And then you go through the process, for the inner process of, okay, is it my ego? Do I need to acknowledge it? And all that path of recognition, of acknowledgement, and until one day you say, okay, I was Yeshua, Jesus. And then another person comes to you and tells you, hey, guess what, someone told me, a very good psychic, that I was Jesus, or Mary Magdalene, or Enlil, or whoever. And then you say, wait, but I was. And the other, no, I was. And then, okay, so what is going on? And the thing is that as we are a unified consciousness, then we have fractals of everything. So that's how they configured the reality, to everything be mixed. So it is and it's not. In this reality, you have, in this example, you have codes, or due to the example, you indeed had codes of Yeshua, and the other person as well. So you are sharing codes of Yeshua at the same time, simultaneously, along with other 40 vessels that are required to bring up together the consciousness of the Christic consciousness, or a whole collective, because the Christic consciousness is within all of us. I'm just setting an example of, like the avatar kind of type. So that's the same with these guys. For instance, with thought, you have the consciousness of thought that comes, and it's quite detached from the consciousness of Nihishida. That can happen, but at some point, if you want to recall what happened there, what truly happened there, then you will see that it was the same, and that they configured it differently, so that it would fit into the consciousness at different vessels. We have the same case with Ishtar, Inanna, variants of the names in different countries, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Iran, and so forth. And a lot of people relate her to Isis as well. For this, I can tell you this is different, because Isis was the vessel for the creation for humans, Her egg was the one used for that. And then along with other 7 mothers that were later on called the Hators. But in the case of Inanna, she was promoting the divine sexuality. So that's where you are when you start to play. There is one woman that has a connection to Hathor. Well, one Anunnaki. Her name was Ninursak, and she was the only female genetist that was in the process of creation of the humans, and she was in parts of Middle East and also in Egypt. She was traveling all over the place. So then
Yeah,
she
she was
branched.
Enki's half sister, right?
Yeah, exactly, yes, yeah. And then she said
Yeah,
they said also with Enlil.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, because that was there's like that whole argument about who could be king, and like it came down to like certain genetics, and that's why they gave it to Enlil over Enki or something like that. But I think like the way it sounds like in the Sumerian epic, like they're like in the Atrahasis, it seems like that like Enki wanted to do good for humanity. But then in our community, things get mistaken because some people think that Enki's like a bad guy, and there's like there's a lot of different people saying a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, because it's actually very mixed with the religion, because Enlil was the one who created the religions along with Marduk. Both of them created the religions. So they say that at some point, Enlil after was mostly in charge to the Buddhism, but not as a religion, because now then it derived into a religion. And the very foundations of the Buddha, like embodying a Buddha as a title, he was there, like giving very specific knowledge to the first monks, before it all got distorted. I'm not generalizing, but like some of them, of course, like in everything. So yeah, before it was a religion, because religions, for my perception, are not good or bad, but when you are reaching out to the institution, then it's a different story. Like the message that it has, it depends on how you interpreted it. Information is just information. And of course, they have hidden a lot of information, a lot. But again, it's the institution, not the not,
Yeah.
not the text, the original text itself.
It's like the message of Jesus could be like interpreted as really good, some of the stuff he stood for, but like the institution of religion is kind of out of control. Is that kind of what you're saying? Like, as an example?
Yes, exactly, because you have the message, and then the moment that someone takes it to create as a flag for their own society, for a very specific institution, then all the message gets distorted, gets lost in translation. So information is for everyone. Why? Because it resides within everyone. So the moment that someone tells this is mine, then it's okay. It's a role play, like you have to respect it my way. It's okay. It's a role play. But then if you start to congregate masses and masses and masses saying that that's the holy truth, then you're touching another parameter of reality, and going beyond many laws of nature itself. How I see
Yeah.
it.
This is amazing. Should we get into some readings? I guess I could put it in. So, guys, if you want a reading from Yssah, put your name in the chat, and we'll get to it. And if you want to donate, you can donate. It helps the show, and I'd like to help Yssah. I'd like to give her something at the end of the day. So if you donate, it's going to both of us. And I'll put links to support the show, but you don't have to donate. You can just put your question in the chat, and if you'd like a reading, and or let me ask you this: while we're waiting for people to, are you excited about the Full Disclosure Now conference?
I am super excited. I am super, 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 super excited. Yeah, like I can imagine if last year was so amazing and all the seeds that we planted, I can imagine what harvesting, like collecting the fruits of those seeds that we planted last year will be like. It will be awesome. I'm looking forward to see you. I'm looking forward to see all of you. Some of the ones that
Yeah.
went last year also were in Sedona, so that's very nice. But for the ones that didn't, it will be so lovely to reunite. Super excited. How about you?
Yeah. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really trying to get there, and it's going to be fun. It's a great lineup this year too. It's going to be an awesome time. We did get someone who requested a reading. Joanna LeBlanc, and thank you for donating on Venmo, Joanna. I don't know if she had a question. Let me see here. Let me see here. I'll just pull up her. Okay. Yeah. Do you have a question, Joanna? Oh, she says. Here's what she said. She said, "Any message working hard on my career and building stability in the physical world."
Okay. Okay, Joanna, thank you. Let's see. I also must say that I have a little bit of less time today. I have some sessions to give, so yeah. Hopefully, we will get to at least 3 readings. So
Yeah.
okay.
It's okay. I have another podcast in an hour too. So I mean, like, what time do you have to be done? Like, what time is is 8:30 good? An hour? Or I
Uh,
think that's
I think 30 minutes actually.
Oh, okay, 30 minutes. So, okay, well, maybe yeah, we'll do 30 minutes. That's fine. And that'll give me more time before my next show. Yeah, sorry. I'll let you go ahead. Sorry. Mhm.
No, no, no. I'm sorry. I wish I could share more, but yeah, I have a session. So speaking of ISIS, oh, where, let me remove my so that you can see it. See her the card. Okay, so here you see it's ISIS, and it says faith and wisdom. So you were asking about working harder on your career and building a stability in the physical world. Well, it says it already, like very clear faith and wisdom. Yet I want to add to that, of course, in relation to a deeper message coming from Isis consciousness, which is the moment that you stop because you think that you have missed some steps and that you won't be able to go back, you shall remember that the path creates itself as you are walking, and whatever you think was lost behind, you're capable to bring it back to life at the very same point in front of you, for you are the source of creation, for you are an extension of that creation, and there is no force that compels the power that resides within you as a creator. We know that the reality that you are facing at this moment as an individual and as a collective can be very challenging. Nevertheless, keeping your heart clear will allow your mind, to be in the same axis as it is the mind that obeys the heart and not the other way around. Not because the heart is more than the brain, but because it's a principle of order. The seed precedes the fruit. However, for the seed to have been created, it came from the fruit. So what is first? comes as a highway, which is both a creation that comes at the same time. It's like the same example. What was first, the egg or the chicken? Both. And that's the moment where you remember the miracles and how miracles are created. The moment that your cognitive mind stops you to think in the impossibility within the infinite field of possibilities, in that moment, you are losing yourself in the predicament of that which was created to restrain your will, your power, and your mission. The moment that you release and free yourself due to those thoughts, you're stepping up into your greatness as the multidimensional being that you are, as a divine being that you are. Remember, nothing that you see without is external from within. Everything is interconnected to you. So if you see flaw outside, it's the flow within that you're trying to remember. Because everything is created as a feedback from the big mind, from the big source, to help you to remember who you are. And my child, you came here for a very specific purpose. And that very specific purpose is not different to your brothers or to your sisters. But when you try to seek for something that is not tangible, then a labyrinth in cross sections separating the heart from its own nature appears. So remember, the source within is in your heart. And for the wings that you carry, for them to expand, the epicenter is in the heart. The wisdom will bring you to that space. Your inner wisdom will bring you to that space where your brain and your heart unite. So listen to your inner wisdom. You already know. Don't doubt in your steps.
I love that. That was amazing. That was really amazing. I hope I hope you got a lot from that, Joanna. That was amazing. You kind of just like channeled there, you know. That was really cool.
And thank you.
That,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I also wanted to say real quick, what are you wearing? I love that. That's so cool.
Well,
It's your necklace.
It's the heart necklace. It was given to me as a gift. So these are two fossils, amnolites, and then they're creating a heart, and they're here is an amethyst, and then here you have another heart being creating upside down. So then you have the four vortexes creating that expansion here in the high heart.
I love
actually.
that.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's so
Yes.
I guess sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just saying that is very precious to me, and also for the gift that it was. That it is.
Yeah, that's cool. I think it's really cool. I'll do someone from your chat next. This is Elio Aquilina, and I don't know if that's a he or she. I guess a he. And he says, "I'll take a reading." He says.
Okay.
I don't know if he has a question.
Do you have a question, Elio? Oh well, you're reading it from my chat, right? So anyway.
Yeah, but I can see it. I can see it on StreamYard. You know, if when it comes through, he says, "Hey," and
oh, interesting.
I'm just waiting to see what he says.
Well, it shows this card is for you, and it is Serhet. I call her Serhet, or well, actually, it's Selhet, and it says healing. Selhet is the scorpion. It represents the scorpion. It's one of the four primordial forces that sustain the creation. Her, Isis, Neat, and Nephthys, four female figures holding the ark, as it is shown in the Ark of the Covenant, the archangels around. Well, here the representation of the ark has these four female figures. So, what the message that Selhet has for you is release. The force that you are using to hold to something is the very same force that you can use to create something. The moment that you allow yourself to release, the moment that you are gaining that power to master that which has poisoned you and create it into your biggest antidote. For that do you think that is actually suppressing you is the way that you will find the key to enlightenment. As you have been holding for something really deep for years, for many years, and that which is actually the key that will lead you to the ultimate freedom, that will allow you access to that treasure that you know that you anchored in a very specific room deep within. And the reason why this will be your antidote and your key to access to that chamber within is because only you could prove yourself to yourself that you have overcome that fear of none less, that fear of suppression, and that fear of feeling that which you know that you have been carrying for a while, and that you have mastered to disguise. But the connection with higher realms has also kept you in a space of an structured reality. Nevertheless, that very same connection that has lifted you up is now asking you to be aware of your steps to bring you closer to you and not farther. Not because you are not expanding blossoms and juicy fruits, but because you are not reaching the core and the tree that creates those and that carries those fruits and blossoms. It's a force that when you are distracted, it comes and like attacks, perhaps even in your reality. And then you say, what happened? But it's because you haven't tamed that force. It's a very specific type of darkness that you need to integrate through love, through to embrace it, through that braveness that resides within you, so that that force feels inspired to work in communion with you and hand in the keys to you to to that chamber. Seeking is not finding, yet accepting is fulfilling the process of enlightenment. The acceptance is proportional to the level of absence of fear and presence of love. You shall receive the tools that you require to transcend that fear, as you were the very same one that put those tools deep where you would need to go deep within in order to find them. Behind the closet, behind the faces, the energies that you wouldn't find very friendly, yet they will be your friends, for they will give you the antidote for that which has come as fear for life, as the result of freedom of the divine soul that you.
Well, I love that. That was amazing. I hope that resonates with you, Elio. That was great. I'm trying to think. Is there anything he should take away more from that, or I would see if he had a follow up question, or should I maybe just go on to the next one? Maybe I'll go to the next one. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'll go to the next one. This one's Mel Rose, and she says, can she give me any message?
Okay, Mel Rose. Oh, there's a lot of comments. Also, yeah, there. Okay, let me see. A happy, which is renewal. Okay, so happy is known as the divine nature of the Nile, the water. So the message here for you is that you're going through a rebirth. And that rebirth requires from a high level of perception and expanding your sensorial abilities to perceive that which is not evident, as perhaps the evident might show to you other aspects that will distract you from the focus to connect with the true message that resides in that rebirth process that you are going through. It's like you are reaching that point of like say the climax. You're about to reach that climax of that rebirth. And as you know, water, the nature of water, is so strong that it's capable to pierce anything needed. Yet it also can be very gentle and tender. So what determines the level of fierceness, of wildness, or tenderness in which the water flows is proportional to the element around it. So that's what Happy is telling you about opening your eyes or your eye to perceive that which is not evident, because the evident will give you perhaps the elements that are running the course of your waters, of your process of renewal. Nevertheless, the ones that are truly commanding the level of flow that you will go through are in the non-evident things. The non-evident things reside in your nature, in your divine nature, because it's not about whether if the current is strong or if it is weak. It is about how you manage the flow of that strong current or weak current. It's how you master the flow of it. So you shall, well, but it's saying weakness is not opening yourself to change and release. Actually, that's strength. So, whatever at some point made you feel or think that you were being weak by allowing things to be, think twice, mostly feel once, for there is no stronger force than the one that remains stoic due to the level of certainty and accuracy that its own actions generate within him, or in this case, her, within you. You have surpassed a point in your existence where life is calling you to release that which is keeping you stagnant and start flowing into the wild nature of your divine flow. This is also a huge invitation for you to connect with your own waters as your feminine, letting it be your strong force, alchemizing your waters, your forces, your emotions, and navigating due to them. So, yeah.
I love that. That was amazing. That was really amazing. Do you think we have time for one more?
Uh, yeah, we have for one more, sure.
Okay. This one's Stargazing Stephanie, and she says I would love a reading. And what I was going to say was people can book readings with you regularly, right? Like if somebody can't get a reading tonight, they can book with you, right?
Yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah, they can. They can. I do more than readings. I could incorporate a reading and translating a code, and then doing a deeper reading. I can also do a reading, but
Yeah.
I always like to go deep. If we're already in the path, let's get it done. So, okay. So,
Yeah.
Stephanie.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So, Isis came again. And another card wanted to be pulled, which is Ra, which is enlightening. So, the forces of nature within you are a complex yet impeccable transmission of the source. That which comes to you, accept it. Trust on that which comes to you. For that which comes to you is because it has gone beyond the breach of all the layers that you had put in between outwards and inwards. Therefore, it deserves your attention. The moment that you refuse to see that which has come towards you, it's not any external that you're refusing, it's internal. And you are now sitting in a throne that you created for yourself to contemplate and receive for things to come to you. So embrace it and receive, for it is your creation, my child. And that, as you accept to sit in the throne that you have created for yourself, to contemplate your creation, is the very same force that will allow to be that sun that does not need to show itself as a matter of as an inorganic matter, yet to be that sun that just extends its rays of light as they cross herself, in this case you, and extend all the way to keep on nourishing your own creation. So nourish your creation by accepting that which you have created, acknowledging it, receiving, because then the inner sun starts to become stronger and stronger, and your rays start to expand to keep on nourishing your creation, because it is not enough to create. You have to nourish your creation. You have to accept it, to receive it, as it is a reflection of yourself. So the more that you nourish without, is as a reflection of what you have nourished within. So remember that. Remember that you have already reached that point in which your illumination is strong enough to emit that plasma to your fields and to receive that plasma back. Open your wings to receive. Open your sun to expand. The more that you give, the more that your light expands. The more that you receive, the more that your light expands. Going deep within as a solo path has reached you to get to that point of contemplating your field. Now it's the time where all that which you created within, you expanded. So fear not to expand. Fear not to be that sun. Fear not to open your wings. Acknowledge and receive. Yeah, okay.
I was muted. Sorry. That was amazing, Yssah. You really went deep on your readings. That was wow. That was awesome. But thank you so much.
Well, my pleasure. And I'm sorry to have to go now, but we can definitely repeat this. It's very fun and it's very powerful. And perhaps it's if someone wants, that knows that already wants a reading, we can already like this kind of show reading with you. They can already reach out to me, and then I'll tell you, hey, we have a bunch of readings already. So book your reading also to do it with in this typical skeptic show podcast. And yeah, also if you want if you want readings, you can reach out to me if you want a private reading, of course.
That's awesome. Yeah. And how can people follow you? What's the easiest way to find your YouTube?
Well, it's Yssah, like YSSAH, Arzate, Libyen, ARZATE, space LIBIEN. And also in my Facebook and in my website, yeah, you can reach out to me, or the email that I always write in my posts and so forth. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Yssah, so much. And yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. I'll be live again in a half hour. But yeah, this was awesome. I really enjoyed this. And I look forward to doing it again.
Me too. Me too. It was lovely. It had been a while now since before Sedona. So yeah, let's keep it fresh. And yeah, thank you again, Rob, for having me. And thank you for offering this space for people to connect to by listening or by speaking. Thank you for holding the space and connecting, doing so much. So yeah, I hope that you're getting a lot of donations because you deserve it. You deserve it. Sometimes we take for granted what people do, like, for instance, just because we love to do it, but when we are aware that we live in a reality that everything flows in a very specific exchange, then we're capable to actually evolve that kind of exchange just by accepting it and flowing. So those donations are very helpful for you. And in this case, for me as well, we receive it from the heart. They are not needed. They are not, like they are not forcefully. They are not a requirement. However, when they are given, we receive them from the bottom of our heart. And they are expanding a high frequency that is actually opening to new levels of exchange. This is what I'm talking about. So by doing that which we want to change from another frequency enables the process of transformation. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. And well, I'll schedule again. Maybe we can do something but towards the end of the month, I can, we can do it again if you would like,
Yeah, my pleasure. Let's do that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And I'll see you guys in a little bit. And